Welcome to Mission Report from Kamikawa, Japan. Let me tell you about this special school project.
Our little church just had 2 families, Japanese families, but we heard there were many Latin Americans working here in Japan, and a lot of them were SDAs but didn't have a church to go to, so we got a list of names and addresses and invited them to our Christmas program. Well, the next week one person came. The next week she brought her brother. The week after that they brought friends, and before we knew it, our church was mostly made up of Latin American people. Some of them had children, and their concern was for their education. There are no SDA church schools anywhere nearby us, so we decided we should make a small school of our own. We were planning to do it for our church members and also for evangelism. So we applied for help from the NSD to buy the property next door to our church for that purpose, and we were very thankful for their help. We were able to purchase the property, and we began by faith going ahead with getting things ready to build, but we didn't actually have a leader for the project. And during that time, one of our church members introduced us to his niece, who was teaching at such a school in the nearby town. She and one other teacher had been left with 20 students when the headmaster ran off, leaving them in quite dire financial situation, and they had kept it going as long as they could, but they were about to the end of their rope. Well, this church member introduced us, and our needs met their needs, and their needs met our needs, and we decided that this would be a good match. So we decided to start helping them right away by sending an English teacher and a Japanese teacher to supplement their Spanish language curriculum. And we would eventually invite them to come and have their school in our church building while we prepared the school building next door. But as they were not SDA, actually Catholic, we knew we needed some SDA leadership. Of course, Japanese people can't do it, so we needed somebody who could speak Spanish, who was an SDA, who was willing to work for this little project. And we thought of Roger Ueno, who had been helping us in the past with our Pathfinder programs. He had just gone to the Philippines. He had been working in a high-power finance company in Tokyo, but he had changed his way of looking at things and decided he wanted to be a pastor, so he'd gone to the Philippines to study. But we asked him, could you put off your studies for just 1 year and come and help us start this project? Well, during the time he was thinking about it, we talked about him to the teachers, and one of them said, Roger Ueno? I know him. It turns out they had worked in the same company in Tokyo. And actually she had also, been in this high-powered, high-stress job, but finding she was found to have leukemia, and she decided to quit that job, and of course she had to get treatment, but when she came out she decided she wanted to do something that had more meaning, so she joined this little school. Well, when we discovered that and told Roger about that, that was impressive to him too, that God must be leading in this situation, so he did decide to come and take over the management of our school. So at that point the school became an SDA school. Of course the parents needed to be explained to them. So we asked Pastor Miguel Luna from NSD to come and give a family seminar at the same time that we had this explanation time for the parents. And with the parents of the students and their friends and relatives, over 100 people came. We provided them with a nice vegetarian meal here, and everybody went away very happy and very pleased that their school would be able to carry on. So we went ahead with plans for building the school. Actually, the whole school was made by volunteer help. We didn't have to ask any professionals to come and do anything for us. Actually, we got a lot of help with the foundation from the original owner of the property, Mr. Iwasaki, and this is how that came about. When we originally went to visit him to discuss the idea of buying the property, we found that he was in a very bad state. His wife had left him, his family business had failed, there were many debts remaining, and he was just totally depressed by all this and just spending all day drinking and smoking some more. His mother was very worried about him, and so we invited him to come to church to study the Bible, and eventually he did, and he found new hope for living, and was very happy about that. But he had a kind of a swelling here on his jaw, and so we really urged him. He was not doing anything about it. We really urged him, you need to go and have that checked. And when he did, they found that it was cancer. And so he needed extensive surgery to remove that, and bone grafts, and really big medical procedures. And because he was able to sell the property to us, he was able to pay for that, and also get out of some of the debt that he was in. So he and his mother were both very happy about that. And when he eventually got out of the hospital and rehabilitation, the first thing he did was to come and oversee the construction of the foundation, which is what his business had been. So we were very, very blessed by that. And the foundation was the start, but through every stage of the building process, we were able to do it all by ourselves. We didn't have to ask any professionals to come in and do any of the wiring or anything. Our church members or friends in the community, different people pitched in and helped us to make the whole school building. So it was a real blessing.